Hello and welcome to the first video in the Holcam WebCenter training series. Today we're going to be going over the basic features of the program and then the basic setup, and then of course some of the questions that might pop up along the way. So the three main features are the quoting tool, the dashboard, and the order upload feature. And we'll go ahead and get started with that. So we'll enter in username and password and click sign in. And the first thing you'll see every time you log in is the dashboard here. This is sort of a summary of your current orders or quotes in the system. Everything up here under open orders is going to be from Holcam, and then everything under quotes will be your own internal quotes that you have created. All right, so let's go ahead and go into a little more detail on these open orders. So you'll notice over here there is an order number on the left. You click on this order number, you can see more information about the order, including any order comments. Usually if there's products, that product information would show here. I don't have any products on this order. Acknowledge date, other information about the order, shipping, invoicing, general, etc., etc. And then when there is shipping and production information, that'll show as well. And then date, so all of the orders in the system will show up as newest first. And then of course your PO number and customer reference would show up here, the order total, the location if you have specific locations, and then we'll go over into these in here in just a minute. So another feature you can do if you're looking or you want to scroll back through orders in the last few days, you can click this little down arrow icon over here at the right, and this will drop this screen so that you can kind of see more of your orders in one view, and then you could zoom out and see even more if you wanted to. Okay, and then let's go ahead and go over the, these are kind of your order status over here. We'll go ahead and take a look at these in a little more detail here. All right, so this section tells you kind of where your order is at any given moment. It does update in real time. So the received column is just kind of going to indicate that your order or your quote is in the system, in the Holcam system. It doesn't really tell you anything other than that. On hold would indicate that there is an issue with the order of some kind. Usually it's missing information, PO maybe, or customer reference, something along those lines. In process is going to mean that the order has been acknowledged. In production is going to mean that it's in production, and you can actually take a little more deeper look at this. We'll do that here in just a minute. Complete means that the order has finished production, but that has not yet been shipped. And then, of course, shipped means that the order has been shipped. Now, on shipped, if you see a red check mark, that means that the order has only been shipped in partial. And then if there's a green check mark, that means the whole thing has been shipped. All right, so let's go ahead and see a little more information on the in production and the shipped. You can always see that if you come over to the order number here, you can click on that and that'll give you more information for both items that are in production or the shipped status. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so I've clicked on that order number, and this kind of shows all of that information that I showed earlier. And you'll notice there's a little bit extra. There is this ship date here that's got a little link, and then the invoice date, and then also the production status. All right, so to see where your order is once it's into production, if you click on this little link here, you'll see the order as it goes through. Let's take a look. As you can see here, this order has been shipped already. But if I click on this status on these links right here, it'll actually give me even more information on the each piece through the entire process. So we'll go ahead and click on that. So clicking on that link actually brings up the unit history, and it tells you exactly where that unit's been. It tells you what station it was at what time, the code, and the part itself. It'll also give you sometimes the status of the part, whether or not it's been accepted or rejected through a specific station, and occasionally it will tell you why if it was rejected, although not all the time. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at shipping next. So when you click on that ship date link right there, you bring up this little screen which will give you more information about each part and what's been shipped, what's been ordered, and what's been delivered. And then you can see if there's multiple parts and only one thing has been, or only part of the order has been shipped, it'll tell you exactly what's been shipped. It'll say, like right here, if this had been shipped but this had not, this would have a 1 and this would have a 0, and then it'll also update you once it's been delivered, and so on and so forth. It'll tell you what route it's coming, the target ship date versus the actual ship date, a little more information like that. And then to finish out here, let's go ahead and take a look at the invoicing. So when you click on that invoice date link up here, it brings up this little screen that just kind of gives you a little more information about the invoice, what day it was, what the number is, whether or not it's been posted, and then of course the items within the invoice and their totals and tax information. All right, so now that we've kind of gone through all of the information here, the quoting information is very similar. It doesn't obviously show you the process through production, but if you were to upload a quote into an order, that quote number would pop up here, and you can actually relate the quote and the order back to each other. I'll go into that in a little more detail in a later video, probably maybe video 3 or 4. Okay, so the only real things of importance down here in the quoting section is this expires date. The system is set up so that after this date hits, usually it's, I believe, a month, the quote will expire. That doesn't mean that the quote is irretrievable. It just means that it's no longer going to show up in this quotes panel. You can actually retrieve expired quotes though, but we'll go into that into a later video as well. All right, so now that you've seen the dashboard, let's go ahead and get started with the actual quoting tool. So new users won't actually have any quotes down here. And before you can create quotes or really do anything other than use the dashboard, you have to set up your own customers. So to do that, you want to come over here, you want to come to the Setup tab, and then you want to choose Customers from the drop down here. And then, of course, this would be blank for new customers, so you'll want to click the Add New Customer. All right, now the only information that absolutely has to be filled in when you're creating a new customer is the site. Everything else can be altered afterward, but if you wanted to choose like a specific location, if you have that option, you need to choose that now because that cannot be edited afterward. So in this case, I'm going to choose this one right here. And then you can put in a name for your customer. You can do something really generic if you wanted to, like walk-in customer or homeowner. Or you could do something much more specific. You could put each walk-in customer as their own customer name. You're unlimited here. And then if you had any notes that you wanted to keep on that customer, you can put them in here. If you want to make this your default customer, you can choose this little checkbox. Most people don't mess with the measurement type, but you can choose from imperial metric. And then pricing method. So every customer will default to markup from cost. And you can change this to discount from list and gross margin as well if you wanted to. And then of course you can adjust the category multipliers for all of your products listed. And then you can adjust sales terms, salespeople. You can assign a specific salesperson to a customer. You can go through and put in specific tax information. You can put in billing and shipping information, all that good stuff. Once you've put in your required information, usually you can click this add button and it'll create the customer over here. I'm not going to because I've already got plenty of customers, but if you want to complete your customer, click add, and then when you're done, it'll pop up over here. And then of course you can always come back, you can click on that customer name and you can edit all of that information. So see, I can edit the name, the notes, everything except this site, it locks that in place. Okay. So now we've created our customer, we're going to go ahead and start our quote. So if you click on the quotes icon here and click entry, It's going to take you to this screen. Now, some customers will only have one site, so you won't need to choose, but for those that do have multiple sites, you will have to choose your location. If you don't have a site, it's just going to ask you to choose a customer. If you do have a site, once you choose your site, it'll tell you which customer you're using or what customers you can use. So in my case, if I choose this location, I have multiple customers, or in this location, I default to one customer. Now, if the customer defaults, it'll enter all that information in here for you if you have it. So if you had, say, default terms or a default salesperson, it would go ahead and enter that information for you. All right. So quote comment and quote note. If you have some internal kind of notes that you wanted to write about this specific quote, anything really that you want that you don't, that wouldn't go on to Holcam, you can write this in this quote notes box. And then if you have something that's important to the quote but that needs to be seen by the Holcam personnel, you can choose the quote and write your comment and write it in here. And then of course you can update the billing and shipping information if you need to. And you can also do, we'll talk about this later, but you can also do manual discounts or markups on each quote, but we'll do that in a later video, probably video 3. All right, so now that I've created that, this is going to show my quote. It's going to show my quote number here and all that information about my quote. And then I'm going to come over here, I'm going to go ahead and choose my product. So I'm going to go ahead and do a Eurolight. Let's do a 290 here. So go ahead and click that. And then I'm going to go ahead and make sure my part's checked, and I'm going to go ahead and click add. All right, and I'm going to back out here so you can see the screen a little better. There we go. Okay, so this is what the screen is going to look like when you first get started. A couple of things to keep in mind when doing Holcam quotes. So we do now have the option of value doors versus custom doors. Value doors are more standard and come at a discounted price. However, they don't have as many options for sizing or additional options of any kinds. You couldn't do most glass types. Couldn't do bronze, couldn't do gray, anything like that, and you can't really do a lot of custom, towel bars or handles or anything like that. So it's very much limited. You can always go back and change this at any point, but if you're planning on doing a custom door and you know that you're doing a custom door, it's much easier to choose that here and choose custom from the beginning than rather go through and realize that you're doing a value door and then have to go back and change it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start with a value door though, just to show it, and then I'll create a custom door later. So we're going to go ahead and choose this up here because it requires it. You can see this red line and item here. So it wants me to choose whether I want the standard height with a header or without a header. Now, obviously, I'm trying to go frameless, so I'm going to go without the header. All right. And then it's going to give me the option here if I want to change my layout. So let's say I want to add a notch. So I'm going to go ahead and choose my layout to notch here, and then I'm going to go ahead and keep that. I like that layout. And then I'm going to go ahead and choose my height from my drop down here. So like I said, value doors are a lot more limited. You cannot enter a custom height here. You must choose one of these drop downs. So I'm going to choose a 78-inch height. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start entering in my dimensions. My other dimensions here. I'm going to choose that. All right. Now, interesting thing about dimension F in this case, usually it'll always be the right side dimension, but in this case it's F. You don't actually have to put what dimension F would be. Like in this case, it would be 68. You could put 0 and it would still take it, although I like to put 68 just to confirm. Okay, and then it's going to make me finish this out. So I don't want to change the door width, and I can't actually. So that's the other thing that's standard. You cannot change the door width for value doors here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and choose my hinge direction, and then you'll see the door kind of start to build here. All right, and then I'm going to choose a handle. All right, and there we go. I'm starting to build my door. And then I'm gonna go ahead and choose this isometric view here. And this is just kind of gonna give a more realistic kind of representation of what the door would look like. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and choose my glass joint as mitered. And I think I'll go ahead and call that done. Now, if I had any comments I wanted to put about this specific item, line item, I can put them right here, and these will show up for all Holcam customer service personnel. They'll see these when the quote or the order is submitted. And then if I wanted to just show my customer a summary of all of the options we've chosen without any of the pricing information, I can click that little view summary link, and it'll show everything that I've added here, and then the image. So you can take this link, you can copy it, you can put it into your browser, and you can actually print this out if you wanted to give them just this. Okay, now I think that's going to go ahead and be good. So I'm going to go ahead and click add. All right, and now you can see I've got all of my information for my quote. Includes the price, the sizing dimension, the part, and then all those value options that we chose. It's going to show those right here. And then of course it'll automatically add in your surcharge and your subtotals, and you can add in tax as well. I have mine set up to do this already, but they can also be manually entered right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and say that we want to do a custom version of this door. So the customer maybe wants to see what the door looks like at this height and this size, first as a value option, and then, with some kind of custom option, maybe like bronze glass and a rope hook or something. So instead of going through and completely redoing that whole door, I can come over here to this copy option, this little 2 pieces of paper icon, click that, and it'll copy this line item right like that. And then I can choose this line item right here. All right, and then I can go through and I can change it to a custom door up here. Have to do that. And then once I've done that, I have to come over here to this ESDH standard height, and you have to unclick that. Okay, now you're gonna see there's more options here. So in this case, I'm gonna choose just dimension A. And I'm gonna go ahead and say 80, or sorry, 78. No, I said 80, 78. Okay, and you'll notice it's going to start filling it out just the same way. So in this case, I'm going to do the same door width of 28, although I do at this point have the option to edit that if I wanted to. Okay, now let's say we're going to change our glass type to bronze. And let's say we wanted to do a rope hook over here on this second panel. So I would come down here and I could go additional options. And panel 2, row hook. Let's say we're going to put it 60 inches. And then it's going to automatically center it for me. And there we are. That's the door, the custom door. Now, customs you can also do out of square as well. So let's say the A dimension leans out, say 1/8 of an inch. And there we are. You can, I believe, still do some out of squares on value doors, but like for dimension A, you wouldn't be able to, anything that's standard that's required, you wouldn't be able to do. So it's much easier if you're going to do out of squares to do them in the custom group. Just kind of as a FYI. All right, and then let's say I wanted to do my base. Let's say that leans in 1/4 of an inch. That comes in 1/4 of an inch. So there we are. You'll see that it shows that it comes in 1/4 inch. And I'll actually go over this in more detail in video 4. It's just kind of nice to give people some knowledge that this is it's available basically. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish this quote out. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose update. All right, and there you go. You can see the two different products and then the pricing for both. Now, let's say you wanted to give this to your customers so that they can kind of take a look at both items and choose which one they would like. If you come up here to this quote option up here, this print option, this little computer, you can click on it and a PDF will show up. Just a moment. Looks like it's going to take a little longer than I was hoping for. While we're waiting, so you can do a regular quote option, you can do quote without the line, without any pricing at all, and then you can do a quote without the line item pricing, and then you can do quote list, quote selling, quote accounting. These are just kind of variations of this regular quote document. It shows you the list price versus the selling price, that sort of information. All right. Usually it doesn't take this long. I'm sorry, my system is running a little slower today, I think. Usually it only takes about a minute, maybe 30 seconds for the quote document to show up. Let's try clicking it again. Okay, some other options while we're still waiting. There we are. Sorry about that. Okay, if I choose this open option, I can open up my quote. All right, and there you are. You get a nice little PDF with your quote. Now it'll always have your logo here as long as we have that information available, and we'll let you know if we don't. And then it will also have your company information, so your address, and phone number, website if that's available, fax number if that's available, and then you'll always see your quote number, the quote date, and who entered it. All right, and then of course you can see the actual quote down here, and then the line item drawings as well. And these can be saved and then emailed to a customer or even just kind of printed out right away. Okay. A couple of the other quick features. So you can globally change some of the options for specific line items. So say a customer is looking for 3 frame doors and they want to change the finish. They have it right now as brushed nickel. They want to change the finish to oil rub bronze or something. So in this case, like here, I believe I had, what did I have? Color is silver for both doors. So let's say I want to change that to brushed nickel for both doors. Okay, we're going to go ahead and choose color. You can choose old option is silver. And the new option, we'll go ahead and say as, let's say as gold. And we'll change. And then you'll get a note here that says that the part and the color, and this is the old option, and this is the new. And then if I click over here and click save, voila, it updates that. So you come over here, you'll see this says gold, and this says gold. All right, and then export, this little folder option here, this just exports the quote information into an Excel file. And then this red circle here, that just means that it will delete the quote. I would recommend not doing this unless you're absolutely sure that you want to, because once a quote's information is deleted, there is no retrieving it. Okay, and then the last thing we wanted to kind of look at real quick is the order upload feature, which I will actually be going into more detail in video 5. But it's nice to kind of give just an overview of the feature itself. So if you go from quotes here and you choose maintenance, and you can see I have a lot of my more recent quotes sitting here. I can choose this quote, and then I can come over and make sure it has information for the manufacturer and the PO, update that, and then I can just click selected upload manufacturer, and it will send that information to the customer. There's a little bit more involved and some other stuff like that, but that's just kind of the basic, it'll send this quote right to Holcam, and it'll show up pretty much right away. All right, I believe that's all I have for this video. One thing I do want to go over real quick though, just to make sure we cover it. If you have any questions or you're trying to figure out how to do something, you can always go to holcam.com/webcenter. And this is kind of our resources page for this program. This is the link to the actual program. If you have any questions or if you have issues, anything like that, you can fill out this information form right here, and we will get back to you within about 24 to 48 hours and get your issue or your question resolved. And then we also have copies of some of our documentation. So we have a user manual. We also have an upload checklist. This is just kind of for you to go through when you're uploading an order, making sure you get everything correct. And then we have a document explaining in a little more detail how to enter the out-of-square dimensions. And then, of course, we have all of our training videos showing up right here. Okay, I believe that's everything. Thanks, guys.